Disturbing Pokemon Rom. It was about a few months back. I was searching in my room for my old Pokemon Fire Red. I was trying to redeem myself with some old memorabilia after playing a ton of Wi-Fi battles. I knew that my Pokemon Yellow was long gone. I couldn't find my Fire Red, but I knew I could still emulate the games through ROMs. Unfortunately, I indulged in ROM hacking, so I didn't have any clean ROMs for playing. So I decided to search for a clean ROM. Due to large bouts of wind flurries, the connection was very shaky. All the regular sites I tried to access had connection issues, and I couldn't get onto them. I searched on Google forever until I found a lone site with a weird name. I can't really remember the URL, but it was off, as if it was something you wouldn't really normally encounter. Either way, I managed to connect to it. When I started downloading the ROM, my PC's screen brightness went down. I thought I had accidentally unplugged the charger, but both the plug and the output were still in place. I just disregarded it. I opened up Visual Boy Advance and fired up the ROM. I started the game and clicked New Game. Something seemed off. For starters, there wasn't any music at all. The only music was on the title screen. I walked down to the bottom floor, and instead of the normal text, the mom said, "Watch the TV," and nothing else. I decided to follow what she said, and I watched the TV. It was the most shocking thing I had ever seen in a Pokemon game, Nintendo game, or any game. The TV said the following: "It has just been reported that the World Trade Center has been successfully attacked. Police were not able to save the people inside of the building. As of now, there are no recorded survivors." After I viewed what was on the TV, I was mortified. I couldn't move. I could still move in game, but I couldn't move my fingers to control Red. I was horrified at what I saw. I pushed the down key, and I walked outside. There still wasn't any music. Gary's house and Oak's lab were inaccessible. There was a tree blocking the entrances, so I couldn't get in. Then there was a single person. It was the captain from the SS Anne. I talked to him without any response. I walked into Route 1, and I talked to the Pokemart guy that gave you the potion. He said the same thing, nothing. I couldn't encounter any Pokemon, as if they were too terrified to attack me. I went into Viridian City, and instead of no music, the Lavender Town theme started playing in the background. All the exits of Viridian were blocked by trees. There was no one I could talk to, and only a single house was available. The other buildings just weren't there. I entered, and it brought me to a heavily populated area, which I couldn't talk to anyone. I walked left from where I was, and I saw two twin towers that looked like the Pokemon towers. They weren't enterable, and I found this person. He looked like the captain. I talked to him, and this time he said, "There were no survivors," and the box wouldn't close. I went through the entire ROM again, and nothing was different. I never found out who created this hack, or why. Why? Was it to simulate the despair from the 9/11 attacks? Or perhaps it was to show that 9/11 can sneak into anything. I've deleted the ROM, and I can't locate the site where I downloaded it from. It's not in my history, and I couldn't find it in searches. What's even more weird is it says that the ROM was last modified on September 11th, 2001. Gengar and Clefable. Gengar and Clefable, through trademarking and beta art, have been proven to be some of the earliest Pokemon created. Coincidentally, they're also some of the first Pokemon when you list the original 151 by index number, with Gengar appearing shortly after Clefable. Also, Clefable was originally going to be the mascot of Pokemon rather than Pikachu. It was going to be a pretty important Pokemon. Gengar's known as the Shadow Pokemon, but what exactly is it the shadow of? Take a look at a picture of Clefable, and then one of Gengar. Their body shapes are almost exactly alike, with the only major difference being that Clefable has a curl for its hair and tail, while Gengar has spikes. However, the shadow of an upright spiral, like Clefable's tail, would only be a line or a spike. Now look at their typings, one of normal type and the other of ghost. Due to their immunities, neither of them could hit the other with attacks of their own type, since they'd just be immune to each other. Have you ever tried to hit your own shadow? Grocery list. You get a phone call from your mother. Since her car's been in the shop, she asks you to go down to the grocery store and pick up a few odds and ends for her. Bread, milk, cereal, and chicken breasts. After writing down a small list, you reluctantly get in the car and pick up the items at the store. The lady cashier makes an odd remark to you. You know, we're in no danger of a milk shortage. Upon arriving at her house, you knock several times. No answer. You decide to try the door. It opens. You place the grocery bag on the counter. Strange. There seems to be 6 other grocery bags, each with identical contents. In a couple, the chicken and the milk has gone bad. Mom? You call out, but no answer. You make your way through the kitchen and into the living room. Sitting on the couch, with her head cut off and neatly resting on her lap, is your mother. Naturally, you call the police, who come over to investigate. They mention that she's been dead for nearly a week. Furthermore, the police psychiatrist is at the scene and talks to you after you give your initial statement. Sitting on the front steps, you overhear the psychiatrist talking with a crime scene investigator. It's not uncommon for people suffering from schizophrenia to get locked into a series of repetitive behaviors, he says. You think to yourself, they can't be talking about me. Schizophrenia? No. Repetitive behavior. Do they think I did this? Suddenly, your cell phone goes off. Hello? Hi, hun. It's me. Could you stop at the store and pick up some chicken and milk? Oh, and I need some bread and cereal, too. No problem, Mom. I'll be right over. suicidemouse.avi. So, do any of you remember those Mickey Mouse cartoons from the 1930s? The ones that were just put out on DVD a few years ago? Well, I hear there's this one that was unreleased, even though the most avid classic Disney fans. According to sources, it's nothing special. It's just a continuous loop, like Flintstones, of Mickey walking past 6 buildings that goes on for 2 or 3 minutes before fading out. Unlike the cutesy tunes put in though, the song on this cartoon was not a song at all. Just a constant banging on a piano, as if the keys for a minute and a half before going to white noise for the remainder of the film. It wasn't the jolly old Mickey we've come to love either. Mickey wasn't dancing, not even smiling. Just kind of walking, as if you or I were walking, with a normal facial expression. But for some reason, his head tilted side to side as he kept this dismal look. Up until a year or 2 ago, everyone believed that after it cut to black, that was it. When Leonard Maltin was reviewing the cartoon to be put in the complete series, he decided it was too junk to be on the DVD, but wanted to have a digital copy, due to the fact it was a creation of Walt. When he had a digitalized version up on his computer, he noticed something. It wasn't the jolly old Mickey we've come to love either. Mickey wasn't dancing, not even smiling. Just kind of walking, as if you or I were walking, with a normal facial expression. But for some reason, his head tilted side to side as he kept this dismal look. Up until a year or two ago, everyone believed that after it cut to black, that was it. When Leonard Maltin was reviewing the cartoon to be put in the complete series, he decided it was too junk to be on the DVD, but wanted to have a digital copy, due to the fact it was a creation of Walt. When he had a digitalized version up on his computer, he noticed something. The cartoon was actually 9 minutes and 4 seconds long. This is what my source emailed to me, in full. He's a personal assistant of one of the higher executives at Disney, and an acquaintance of Mr. Maltin himself. After it cut to black, it stayed like that until the 6th minute, before going back into Mickey walking. The sound was different this time. It was a murmur. It wasn't a language, but more like a gurgled cry. As the noise got more indistinguishable and loud over the next minute, the picture began to get weird. The sidewalk started to go in a direction that seemed impossible based on the physics of Mickey's walking, and the dismal face of the mouse was slowly curling into a smirk. On the 7th minute, the murmur turned into a blood-curdling scream, the kind of scream painful to listen to, and the picture was getting more obscure. Colors were happening that shouldn't have been possible at the time. Mickey's face began to fall apart. His eyes rolled onto the bottom of his chin like two marbles in a fishbowl, and his curled smile was pointing upward on the left side of his face. The buildings became rubble floating in midair, and the sidewalk was still impossibly navigating in warped directions, a few seeming inconceivable with what we as humans know about direction. Mr. Maltin became disturbed and left the room, sending an employee to finish the video and take notes of everything happening up until the last second, and afterwards immediately store the disc of the cartoon into the vault. This distorted screaming lasted until 8 minutes and a few seconds in, and then it abruptly cuts to Mickey Mouse at the credits of the end of the video, of every video, with what sounded like a broken music box playing in the background. This happened for about 30 seconds, and whatever was in the remaining 30 seconds, I haven't been able to get a sliver of information about. From a security guard working under me, who was making rounds outside of that room, I was told that after the last frame, the employee stumbled out of the room with a pale skin, saying, "Real suffering is not known," 7 times before speedily taking the guard's pistol and shooting himself on the spot. The thing I could get out of Leonard Maltin was that the last frame was a piece of Russian text that roughly said, "The sights of hell bring its viewers back in." As far as I know, no one else has seen it, but there have been dozens of attempts at getting the file on RapidShare by employees inside the studios, all of whom have been promptly terminated of their jobs. Whether it got online or not is up for debate, but if rumors serve me right, it's online, somewhere under suicidemouse.avi. If you ever find a copy of the film, I want you to never view it, and to contact me by phone immediately, regardless of the time. When a Disney death is covered up as well as this, it means this has to be something huge.